it's okay. I'll just do it by myself. Tasyam chakru spriham sarve sasura sura manavaha rupautarya vayovana mahimakshipta chetasa. Tasyam chakru spriham sarve sasura sura manavaha rupautarya vayovana mahimakshipta chetasa. Tasyam chakru spriham sarve sasura sura manava rupautarya vayovana mahimakshipta chetasa. Okay, word for word. Tasyam, unto her, chakru did, spriham desire, sarve everyone, sasura asura manavaha the demigods, the demons, and the human beings. Rupa Audarya, by the exquisite beauty and bodily features. Vaya, youth. Varna, complexion. Mahima, glories. Aksipta, agitated. Chetasaha, their minds. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Because of her exquisite beauty. So the her in this verse, just for anybody who's lost track, is the goddess of fortune. Because in the previous verse, it is said, so the previous verse, I'm just going to read the verse so that you can catch up. Then there appeared the goddess of fortune, Rama, who is absolutely dedicated to being enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She appeared like electricity, surpassing the lightning that might illuminate a marble mountain. Right, so the ninth verse is then a description, a little bit more of a description of her. So, because of her exquisite beauty, her bodily features, her youth, her complexion, and her glories, everyone, including the demigods, the demons, and the human beings, desired her. They were attracted because she is the source of all opulence. Purport. Who in this world does not want to possess wealth, beauty, and the social respectability that come from these opulences? People generally desire material enjoyment, material opulence, and the association of aristocratic family members. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam. Material enjoyment entails money, beauty, and the reputation they bring, which can all be achieved by the mercy of the goddess of fortune. The goddess of fortune, however, never remains alone. As indicated in the previous verse by the word Bhagavat Para, she is the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is enjoyable only by Him. If one wants to favor the goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi, because she is by nature Bhagavat Para, one must keep her with Narayan. The devotees who always engage in the service of Narayan, Narayana Parayana, can easily achieve the favor of the goddess of fortune, without a doubt. But materialists who try to get the favor of the goddess of fortune only to possess her for personal enjoyment are frustrated. Theirs is not a good policy. The celebrated demon Ravana, for example, wanted to deprive Ramachandra of Lakshmi, Sita, and thus be victorious, but the result was just the opposite. Sita, of course, was taken by force, by Lord Ramachandra, and Ravana and his entire material empire were vanquished. The goddess of fortune is desirable for everyone, including human beings, but one should understand that the goddess of fortune is the exclusive property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot achieve the mercy of the goddess of fortune unless one prays both to her and to the Supreme Enjoyer, the Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gnanjana Shlakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupagaramayam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostati Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sati Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shrunyavari Pasachari Shtarini Vanchakopa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevaja Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Alright, so one more time the verse. Because of her exquisite beauty, her bodily features, her youth, her complexion, and her glories, everyone, including the demigods, the demons, and the human beings, desired her. They were attracted because she is the source of all opulences. So, we know there are a few things in this verse that are quite important. It's the opulences, it's the tendency of the human beings as well as the demigods as well as the demons to try and separate the goddess of fortune of Krishna, from Narayan, and then there is what Krishna does with it, with this fact. Right, so first of all, the opulences are fame, fortune, renunciation, beauty, power. Oh God. And I can't remember the sixth one. There's always one that I miss. Beauty, fame, money, wealth, power, renunciation. Knowledge, thank you. Okay, so we see that basically the whole material universe is based on this, that we want these opulences. We can see, and in the purport, it says that it starts with a question: who doesn't want these things? And so who doesn't want wealth, who doesn't want beauty, and who doesn't want the social respectability that comes from the opulences? And then in the purport it says people generally desire material enjoyment, material opulence, and association of aristocratic family members. Again, we can see this very, very clearly when we look at any kind of famous person. the movie stars and the models are basically the best example, because outwardly 99% of them are extremely beautiful. Most of them are multi-talented, so they can not only act, but they can also sing and do whatever else. And they have fame. So the movie stars and the social influencers have more sway with people these days than, for instance, a priest or the politicians. We can see more and more that movie stars and famous people use their voices for social change. They are also, then they don't only tell stories, but they also are activists for whatever grounds they fight for. And people listen to them, people follow them, people's minds get changed by them. And when we see, whenever I just recently saw an interview by a lady that's been, she's famous for this one TV show, and she's been doing it for decades. So all the people know her, and basically she can't go grocery shopping, because whenever she goes to the grocery store, people whip out their cell phones. They want people whip be associated with her. They want to ask her all sorts of questions, and that's fame. So people are attracted to these things. So that's basically what that is. And then we can see not only the demons are attracted to these things, everybody is. The demigods, the humans, the demons, everybody. What is very important to know from this verse is that if you think about the material world and how it is set up, this verse also shows us how extremely merciful and non-envious Krishna is, because the whole material world was created by Krishna so that the humans and the demons and the demigods can have the illusion of having the goddess of fortune for themselves. That is the basic principle of the material universe, is that we are trying to separate the goddess of fortune from Narayan. So if you look at the two, the goddess of fortune, she's enjoyment, she's pleasure, she's wealth, she's riches, she's fame, she's beauty. And Krishna, it's always paired to responsibility, to dharma, to following religious duty. Sita and Ram are mentioned in this verse, but we can see, so on a material level, basically the best example that can be given and support the statement that I made that Krishna is so merciful is the whole is basically the whole the process of getting children. So basically on a natural, if everything works properly as it should, people just in general, they have sex, they get a child. So sexual pleasure is also the highest enjoyment of the material world. That's basically what the whole advertising industry and everything is based on, is because people want this kind of sexual pleasure. And I don't mean just the physical act, but everything around it also. And we also see very, very actively that people are trying to separate the enjoyment from the responsibility. Krishna set up this material world in such a way that the greatest pleasure, aka sexual pleasure, on a material basis is also coupled with the greatest responsibility, meaning having children and raising them. If you talk to any new parent, I'm not a parent, but I've talked to many, and I've seen many, and I've seen many small babies and children and whatever, and it's the most difficult thing, I think, in this world. It's the most difficult thing in order to raise good children. And I'm not just talking about raising them Krishna conscious, I'm just talking basic, to raise a child in such a way that they are basic, decent human beings is already a very, very great sacrifice. And the sacrifices that parents have to make for their children is the highest sacrifice on a material level. But people are trying to separate it in terms of basically birth control and reproductive rights, the whole thing of my body, my choice, abortion. So now, not so many years ago, there weren't birth control, there weren't abortion. They were, but it wasn't so prevalent. And basically, when women got pregnant, they immediately had to marry. And so these days, it's like buying a new car. You can decide, oh, am I going to keep this baby? Am I not going to keep this baby? And one night stands and what the whole shebang. It's basically just a way for the materialists to separate the principle of enjoyment, who is the goddess of fortune, from Dharma, who is Krishna. But Krishna doesn't say to us that you're trying to separate my enjoyment from me, I'm going to take it from you. He shares it with us. The material world does have a lot of enjoyment in it. If it didn't have a lot of enjoyment in it, people wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. So Krishna says, he doesn't say, oh, you're trying to take her from me, I'm going to take her from you, as in he shares it with us in the sense that he builds this whole world for us in order to enjoy. And we forget Krishna. We think we're the masters of the universe, and we enjoy. But like the goddess of fortune, our enjoyment on the material platform is fickle, meaning chanchala. Not always the same, and she comes and goes however she pleases. But it is, so we can see it on a spiritual level that like Ravana is basically the poster boy of someone who tried to steal Sita from Rama and tried to keep it to himself. And in the end, there's a part in the Ramayana where Hanuman reaches Lanka, and now he has to look for Sita. He doesn't know what she looks like, but he has to find her in order to ascertain whether she's alive or not, and just to assess the situation. So he goes, it's in the middle of the night, so basically everybody's sleeping, and he goes from palace to palace to palace to palace, everywhere. And he says, well, okay, Ravana stole her, so obviously he's going to keep her close. So he goes to Ravana's palace, and there are thousands of beautiful women. Ravana was not a monogamist. He didn't have, he had a lot of women. And quite honestly, he was a demon, but he was extremely attractive and extremely persuasive. So not all the princesses that he had did he have to, he stole them, but a lot of them just accepted it because he's powerful, he's beautiful, he can shift, he can shapeshift. And Hanuman saw thousands of women. So it's not like Ravana didn't have enjoyment, but he tried. The whole point is that for a long time, Ravana was on the top of the world, literally. He controlled everything. Even the demigods were afraid of him. But in the end, if we try to separate enjoyment, to separate pleasure from responsibility, in the end, we are going to suffer. That's what happens to everyone. It might not look like we suffer, but we do. To come back to my original example of the movie stars, most of them, if not all of them, would tell you that now that they are on top, meaning they have riches, they have fame, they have beauty, they have everything, most of them will tell you that it doesn't mean anything. A lot of them are still very unhappy, and a lot of them try their best to go back to a private life, which isn't given to them because people always want to know what they're doing, so they have no privacy. So a lot of the famous people will tell you they don't like the fame. They do it because they try and follow their dharma. Most of them will tell you that they can't do anything else. They're storytellers, so they take the bitter part, which is having absolutely no privacy, with the good part, meaning being able to tell stories. So we see that even the people who have outwardly everything, they still miss something. They're still not complete. They're still unhappy. Why? Because they don't connect it to Krishna. So what we have to do is, yes, Krishna gives us enjoyment, but our thing is, the whole process of devotion is to wake up to realize, aha, okay, for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, I have been trying to separate Sita from Ram. I have been trying to separate Lakshmi from Narayan. I've been trying to separate Radharani from Krishna. Now my devotee life is about bringing them together. That's what that is what it means to be a devotee. Is whatever you do, you try and connect Radha and Krishna. You try and get them together. And so that's what we do as devotees. On the altar, we serve them together. We chant, which means the japa that we do contains Hare, which is Radharani, and Krishna and Rama, which is all together. And so, yeah, that's the whole point of being a devotee. And we also know that when we get initiated, we have we make a promise. We make a promise to chant 16 rounds a day, to follow sadhana, to have sadhana, to follow the rules, which is a sacrifice. But we are gradually shifting our propensity of enjoying materially to enjoying spiritually, which is spiritual enjoyment is forever. And a devotee's purpose in life should be how to connect whatever it is we do, how to connect it to Krishna. Okay, this was a very short and sweet lecture, and thank you for everybody up in the departments everywhere in the kitchen listening. If anybody out there has a question, please ask. If not, forever hold your peace. Thank you very much for listening. You're visiting?
Ja.
Sprichst du Deutsch?
No, I speak English.
Speaks English, okay. Yeah, everybody's in Köln.
I understand.
And Köln Hatha, so, but there has to be a lecture, so that's why. Okay. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.